Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the National Intel Report. I'm your host, John Statmiller. We're with you on this Tuesday, 23 June 09, in the special edition of the National Intel Report on Tuesdays with Robert Chapman and Mr. Robbie Noel. I'm John Statmiller, and let's just get right to it. Mr. Chapman. Howdy,
yes.
Bob. How you doing?
Yes. I am here.
You are here.
Is Robbie here?
I don't know. Robbie, are you here? Mr. Noel. Mr. Noel.
Yola.
Ah, there he is. Hey, what time is it?
Are we on?
Yes, we are on.
Oh.
The whole world is waiting for you.
Yes. Say something extremely intelligent.
Good afternoon.
Oh, hey, that's a start.
Mushy static.
So, anything new in the home front down there, Bob? Anything coming up? What's going on?
Well, we've had some interesting things here. First of all, we have our president is having an exclusive for ABC in the White House, where they are going to, without further comment from anybody else, they are going to do what is essentially an infomercial on the health reform package of the president. We might call it I call it the euthanasia bill. It's one of the ways they're going to cut costs, and anybody that's terminal diseases, no matter what their age, they'll just get rid of them. And anybody who is older, and they diagnose them, and they figure it's going to cost them, $300,000 or $400,000 to take care of them for the next year. They're just going to zap them, and that's a part of the program they're not telling you about.
Well,
And they're also going to pile on the premiums whether to get this thing passed, which I think is DOA, dead on arrival. They intended to load up the younger people with high premiums to pay for others. They wanted to include 30 million illegal aliens, and it works out to the cost would be $62,500 for an individual, $250,000 a family to do this kind of insurance. And incidentally, that's on an annualized basis, if you can believe that. And, of course, this would be a monopoly being nationalized as national health insurance, and they want to run parallel programs privately and within the structure. And if you work outside the structure, you go to jail. There'll be certain things that you will have to do, like, abortions on demand, and a lot of doctors won't want to do that, so they'll drop out of the system. And they want to put a VAT in, which is about 20% increase in taxes for every American to pay for this thing. And it just gets worse and worse as I talk. And so 80% of the American people do not want illegal aliens included, and the majority don't want this wretched package. There's 100 million people that already have
we got a break, Bob.
Insurance that they're happy with.
We got a break. We'll be right back. Bob Chapman, Robbie Noel, John Statmiller. Right up.
Get ready for Real Talk Radio. You're listening to the National Intel Report with your host, John Statmiller.
All right, we're going to cover a myriad of subjects, probably the most important coming up in near term, soon to happen, in a neighborhood near you, is probably the coup that's being attempted in Iran right now. And, of course, this guy, I think this guy is probably the greatest asset that the globalists have, and that's Heinz Kissinger, old Bohr, Soviet double agent during World War II. This is what he had to say regarding Iran. Just like the coup was pulled in 1953, the CIA was in there. guess what? The CIA dropped $400 million trying to topple the government of Ahmadinejad, and it hasn't worked so far. So here's Henry to tell you what the next step is going to be in behalf of Israel, the United States, and, well, whomever else. Talk to me, Henry. You old vampire, you.
I am sure that Americans would favor the emergence from the present situation of a truly popularly based government. And it is very appropriate for the president to make clear that that is what he favors. Now, if it turns out that it is not possible for a government to emerge in Iran that can deal with itself as a nation rather than as a cause, and if then we have a different situation. Then we may conclude that we must work for regime change in Iran from the outside. But if I understand the president correctly, he does not want to do this as a visible intervention in the current crisis.
Yeah. They're just a cause over there. They're a cause celeb. They're not a legitimate country. Bob, they're stoking the fires here. It seems that North Korea has dropped off the radar map for a little while. We had the John McCain over there, a U.S. ship, tracking a, looks to me to be a 21st century day modern junk. But that's on the back burner right now. We've got to heat up the Iran situation. What do you think of old Henry's remarks, Bob?
Well, he has declared war. And I saw Ziggy Brzezinski earlier today, and he did the same thing. And Soros is mouthing off the same sort of crap. And so that's where they're headed now. And, you know, they're going to be nice to them. They're going to give them a chance to have a vote over again, which was legitimate in the first place. Nobody believes the United States anymore, particularly Americans, because they lie so much. We know they spent hundreds of millions of dollars over there creating this coup by paying people off to march. But, you know, marching is one thing. And incidentally, that girl was deliberately murdered. But taking bullets is another. And the government has warned them, you keep this crap up, and you're going to have a problem. And there's not enough people who are armed in Iran to cause problems. And so it'll die away. And they will put a noose on this whole thing. The guy that ran for president opposite Ahmadinejad was a former CIA operative. Has anybody brought that out?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, he's a former CIA. He was involved in Iran-Contra. And this guy's nothing but a U.S. asset. And so I think they will nip it in the bud. It will go away. And Israel, the Mossad, and the CIA will have been unsuccessful again. And this happens over and over again. You know, this is another one of these colored revolutions. You know, the Czech Republic, the Ukraine, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and I don't know. I mean, they just don't give up. And they're spending our tax dollars to do this. And, of course, we're running this horrific deficit of probably between $2 and $2.5 trillion this year, which is, you know, we used to think $600 billion was bad. And so it's not, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think they were unsuccessful again. They're a bunch of bumbling idiots.
Well, this Mousavi, the breakdown of the votes over there, and this was concluded on June 12th. Ahmadinejad, 63.3%, or 25, almost 24.5 million votes. The Western-backed liberal opposition candidate, this Hussein Mousavi, only received 34.2%. The presidential election drew a record turnout of more than 80% of the electorate, including an unprecedented overseas vote of 234,812 votes, and which the Musavi, or whatever the heck his name is here, Musavi, only got, let me see what the percentage was there, out of the 234,000, he got way less than half, about 110,000. Now, to give a little bit more flavor to this deal, it didn't work. And the White House, they all concluded that, this new guy on the block, they just knew that this guy